What year's the Lexus? Why are you driving a Lexus off-road? Put it that way.
That's a great question.
All right, you gonna climb?
On this episode, we profile an off-road rig that's a little far from ordinary.
Oh man!
This is a 2008 Lexus LX 570, and this guy, our son Jackson, is kind of the inspiration behind this. Jackson he's 4 years old. He had a traumatic birth, he has cerebral palsy, and I wanted to make sure we could adventure and Jackson could see all the beautiful places in this country and beyond. And so I thought I need to get a capable rig that can kind of take us everywhere and be comfortable on long trips too. Basically, this is just a Land Cruiser. It's a Lexus, so it has a few more bells and whistles and a different suspension. It has a hydraulic suspension, so you can go in high mode, low mode, but it's super comfortable. We just put 4,100 miles on it, some 13-hour drive days, and totally comfortable. But it's also very capable, and the hope is that one day he is able to drive, and I wanted to get something that would last long enough so that when he gets to be 16, I could hand this down to him. It would be kind of a legacy truck.
That's so cool. So it's independent. I don't know much about any of these vehicles. So it's independent fronts or IFS.
That's right. Independent front suspension.
How does that handle off-road compared to like a solid axle?
Not as good, obviously. Solid axle is king off-road, but I've been surprised how capable this rig is. It's a rear solid axle in the rear, and I installed a rear diff locker. It also has A-Track, which is Toyota's simulated locker, which actually is pretty aggressive, does pretty well. But with the rear locker, the A-Track, the 35s, and then I can just lift it on the hydraulic suspension, it actually does pretty well.
That's pretty cool.
And it's still comfortable on the road for long periods of time.
So you have a number of different capabilities and features that Jeeps don't have. Like you can select things on and off and to help you through the obstacle.
Yeah, so we got A-Track, and then we have crawl control, which I never use. I like to be more in control myself.
Yeah.
And it has hill descent, but I don't use those. I do use A-Track. It's automatic. But as soon as the tire starts slipping, it breaks that wheel, so the torque and the power goes to the other wheels that have grip.
So does it have a lift on it?
It does not have a lift.
And those are 35s.
And those are 35s. So what it does have is, it's called a sensor lift. So there's these sensors that tell the truck how high to ride, basically. And so if you adjust those sensors, you get about 1.5 inches in the front and 2 in the back. And then I actually also have an AHC lift. So AHC is the hydraulic suspension. It's what you can put it in sport or normal or comfort, and it's what raises and lowers the truck. So I adjusted the values of the hydraulic suspension, and so that gave me another inch and a half, I think it was. So basically I have the equivalent of a 3-inch lift.
A built-in
when
lift.
It's in high, yeah.
That's so cool.
So I didn't have to pay for another suspension.
Tell us about the armor. Because that's a new addition, and that we've been wheeling before in the past, and that's a welcome addition.
Yes.
Compared to the trails that we've been on before.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I had a huge dent on the passenger side rear bumper, a small one on the other, and just scrapes everywhere and all that stuff. I've wheeled this thing hard, especially for what it is. So this armor is by Descent Off-Road. They're in Colfax, California. Well known in the Land Cruiser, even Toyota kind of community or whatever, but especially for Land Cruisers. That's my son Jackson, as you can hear laughing. He's going bump bump, what he calls bump bump with his walker, so he's having a fun time. Anyway, it's this mix of aluminum and steel, so it's still strong, but it's still lightweight, which is a big deal, especially when I'm riding on stock suspension. But so far it's been amazing. Like the welding, it's just really high quality armor. Yeah, and then the swing out, so I got the spare tire swing out and a panel swing out for my traction boards and anything you want to put inside of that. And then of course front bumper. We have a rigid light bar and then got the little LEDs on the side. It's a Apex Badlands 12,000 pound winch, synthetic rope remote, and an Agency 6 winch shackle. So all that's new within the last week or so, week and a half.
Now we get to put some scratches on it.
That's right. So we just got our first scratches a few minutes ago.
So what's next? What's next on this thing now that you got all this crazy work done?
According to my wife, nothing is next. I mean, if you were going to ask me. So actually, I just got a new grill. So a company called GarageAlpha.com actually just sent me a grill. They've sponsored that. And it looks kind of more like a TRD style. It's blacked out and it has written out Lexus. So I was really hoping to be able to get that on before we came out. But anyway, that's going to be cool. So I've already got that. As far as major modifications, you know, like a front locker, a snorkel, maybe a roof rack somewhere down the road, and maybe even some stuff for the interior.
So what if somebody wants to get a Lexus and take it off-road? What do you say to that?
I think it's a great idea. Just beware. It's not as capable, especially straight out of the box, as a Jeep or something like that. You know, most people look at them and they're like, oh, it's a soccer mom kind of thing. But man, they're amazingly capable. Like I said, I've done 5, 6, 7 rated trails on a 1 to 10 scale. And yeah, I got a little bumper damage, so be aware of that. Like if you really want to get intense or serious about it, get some aftermarket bumpers like Descent. They're awesome. And then, I mean, you can just drive forever on road because it's a Lexus. It's totally comfortable. And it has 140,000 miles, mine does. And all I've had to do is replace a radiator. That's it, other than routine maintenance. I mean, they're just reliable. So they're built to last 25 years in third world countries. So 600,000 miles is what they're aiming for.
No kidding.
Without any major, you're just supposed to be able to do routine maintenance. They're overbuilt to the T. The glass is thicker. Everything's bigger than it needs to be. They're just tanks. So I think it's a great idea.
So plenty more miles left for upgrades.
That's right. That's a great reason to buy one of these, because you can get one that's, I mean, what is this? 14, 15 years old now. You know, like you pay them off and then you've got the money to invest in them, and you've probably only burned a quarter of its life.
And you have a YouTube channel that you're starting now, so we'll point people to the link over there, and you're on Instagram as well.
That's right.
What's the handle over there?
So this is cool. So it has been at Lexcalibur 570, a little play on words for Lexus and Excalibur. So we're actually changing it. When I first started doing off-roading, it was just me, with the intention that hopefully one day my wife and my son would get into it with me. Well, that's happened. They've dove headfirst into it with me. So we're doing a name change for Instagram. So now it's going to be X Factor Adventures. And actually I got a personalized plate on the back, you'll see. But X Factor Adventures, and that's going to be the same for the YouTube channel. So it's all going to be X Factor Adventures, and that's because Jackson's name is just like my name, Jason, but it has an X in the middle. He's the X Factor. And since he's the inspiration behind all of this, X Factor Adventures just makes sense.
Nice. Good stuff.
Got a unique rig and want to be featured? Let us know in the comments below.